Hello students, this is your instructor Shovik. Uh, in our previous session, we had already discussed the basics of tuple, and now in this session we are going to take the look of some functions that we can use in tuple and other things. Alright, let's start then. Okay, now as we know that tuple is immutable. That means we cannot edit or update anything once it is created or defined by the user. Now there are a few methods that we can use in a tuple. So if you don't know, then let me tell you one thing, that basically we have two types of methods that can be used in these data types like Python, string, tuple, dictionary and set. One is from the Python standard library methods, uh, which are like len function, these max, min, sum. So these are the functions which falls under uh, Python standard library. Now there are other type of methods, or you can say function, uh, which is based on a very particular topic. Let's take list. Now list has various functions like append, insert, pop, remove, index, all these things. Now those functions belongs to the list and list only. Okay, we cannot use those functions in any other topic. But these functions len, max, min, sum, these are Python standard library functions or methods. We can use these functions in any sequential data type, or some of the data types, not any, but some of the data types like string, list and tuple. Now so as we know, tuple is an immutable data type. That means we cannot edit, update or delete anything from a tuple. That means there is no such functions or methods in a tuple. Obviously that is very obvious that that can add new elements in a tuple. So there are very few methods are available for tuple, and from that methods, these are some methods we can use in a tuple. So let's take a look how to use these methods in a tuple. Let's take a tuple first. Let's take a tuple first. Suppose our tuple name is a. We can use any variable name uh, which just maintaining the laws of keywords and identifiers. All right. Okay, now let's take some values in a tuple. So this is a tuple and there are some integer values within this tuple. Now if I want to check the length of this tuple, I'll probably do something like that, len function, and in the parameter or argument, say we can pass the variable length of that tuple, right? And let's run the program and you'll see here it is 5. So the length of the tuple is 5 because there are 5 elements. Now if I want to check what is the maximum element of that tuple, I probably simply use this max function. If I run, it will say 50 is the maximum number. Are you able to see that? 50 is the maximum number within that tuple. Similarly, if I want to know the minimum value, then I'll use the min function. And if I want to know the sum of the function, sum of the elements of that particular tuple, then I'll use sum function. Okay, now let me just run the program. So these are the result we get from these functions. So this is it, and so these are the functions from Python standard library. As I already told you, these are the functions from Python standard library. Now there are some functions that belongs to tuple. Very few functions, which is one of those functions are, let me delete these things. One of those functions, index function. Index. Now what it does, we have already used index function in our list. What it does, it returns the index number of a particular element within the sequential data type, right? So if I want to know the index number of let's say this 40, what is the index number of this 40? No need to count, there is index, and within that index function I just pass the element itself, and if I run, then it will show the index number of that particular element. Alright, so this is a function we can use in tuple. So there is a question arise here, is if tuple doesn't uh, support uh, adding new values, so how can we create a user-defined tuple? So if I say let's create a user-defined list, we can do it very easily using a loop and append function, right? But for this topic like tuple, it is immutable and we cannot update a tuple. So is it possible to create a user-defined tuple? So there we don't have any method which can add an element in a tuple. We cannot do that because it is immutable. As I'm repeating the same thing again and again, just to make sure that you know it very well, the tuple is an immutable data type. You cannot change anything from a tuple. Is there any way to create a user defined tuple? So in that process we can take elements from a user and somehow we can add those elements in a tuple. Is that any way? Well, there is a way. For that, before that we go to that particular topic, we need to know a simple concept by which we can achieve that solution, right? How in a tuple, how to add new element from a user. We can do that, but before that we need to know a very simple concept. Let me show you that. So we have a tuple right in here called A, and let me take another tuple called B, and there are some, let me take some um, values, and if I do this print, no, let's not take a print. A plus B. Now attention here, you, you need to know these things before you jump into an advanced form of tuple. Now what I am doing is called concatenation. Concatenation means bringing together two type of data. Now in here the data type is same, which is tuple, but that plus sign here depicts not the sum, but the concept of concatenation. We do that. We use this concept in our print function very often. But here, if I then print a, then what will be the answer? Let me just run the program. See what it does. It merged two tuple into one. It merged two different tuple into one. In using this concept, just think, using this concept we can easily add a single element within a tuple. If I remove this 200 and run the program again, see we have added one single element within a tuple. Now there is one more thing that I need to tell you, that this comma, I kept the comma and I just removed 200. Why did I keep this comma here? Because if I delete this comma, then it will become an integer number. It will become an integer number. Now b is not a tuple. In that case b is not a number, b is not a tuple, sorry. Now b is an integer number, so we cannot concat an integer with a tuple. If I run this, it will throw an error. See, can only concats tuple, not int. So somehow it became an integer number, and for that uh, we can take a look of that b. If it is an integer number, it will, sorry, just let me comment out this line and see here, that is an integer number. How to be sure? There is a method called type class int. So 100 is an integer number. Now if I put one comma here, it will become a tuple. See, it is a tuple now. So we can easily merge two tuple and concat, right? So using this concept, we can add new values within a tuple. So let me take one empty tuple first, then let's take a number from the user, int input. This number is needed to know how many times or how many elements user actually wants to add within that tuple. Enter the number of elements. Alright, now based on the number, we just do run a loop using the range function. So this loop will run the number in which the user wants to enter elements. Alright, now within that loop we need to take element from the user. Let's take it as integer. It can be anything, enter element here, it can be anything. And now the best part of this program. Now how to concat? Let's take a equals to a plus. Now a is an empty tuple. Now if I want to add an element within that empty tuple, we need to take another tuple, as I've already shown you, right? So let's take an unnamed tuple here. We don't need to name here. We don't need to take the variable name of that tuple. Just take a tuple and ele comma. So a is a tuple and ele within a tuple. It doesn't need any variable name here of this particular tuple. All right, fine, and that's it. If I print the tuple here a, after completing the whole process, it will show us the thing. Now let's take 5 elements. All right, now first element is 1 2 3 4 5. See, we have added those elements within a tuple. All right, now in that way we can actually add elements, or we can achieve the problem, the solution, in which we can actually make an user defined tuple by using the concept of concatenation. All right, now there are not much many things in tuple, because tuple is immutable. We cannot use in the tuple here and there like we do in with lists, but tuple is very important element, and in that way we can use it. All right, so I hope you have already enjoyed this session and practice it more, and I'll come in my next session with another thing. All right, so see you, take care, bye bye.